Today on Monkey Life, a major storm pummels the park, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake and a tough decision for Alison.
I've had to close the park, and we're going to have a lot of repairs to some of the enclosures.
The maintenance teams are kept at full stretch outside, with the majority of primate residents forced to stay inside.
We're now trying to rely on enrichment to try and keep them as busy as possible and make sure that nobody falls out while they're having to be shut in.
And friction at the Stumpie House as Toto and Freddie fight for the top spot. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
I can't keep her in, get her in. Okay, got it.
The park provides a home for more than 260 primates from 25 different species. The south of the UK has been battered by a severe storm, which wreaked havoc over the weekend. Luckily, weather warnings were issued in advance, advising of strong winds with the potential for major damage to trees and buildings. Alison took the only option available.
I closed the park for the day of the storm, and it's a good thing I did because, you know, we've had a lot of damage here to the park, and so I've had to close the park for a further 2 days in order just to try and get things under control in terms of making trees that have come down safe. And we're going to have a lot of repairs to some of the enclosures.
Parts of the park took a major hit, with trees down and enclosures badly damaged, leaving the maintenance team at full stretch.
So what we're going to do next, we're just going to make this safe and try and hopefully get the majority of the overhang saved. Yes, we'll try and keep some of the trees, but we're going to have to leave them on the deck, I'm afraid. Then the next one is to go into the forest gibbons there and make them too safe for the keepers. And then we should be fine then.
Worst affected was the Capuchin Lodge. Head of Maintenance George has called in the tree surgeons to clear the debris, so we can get a better idea of the damage to surrounding fences and overhangs in the outside enclosures.
Basically, after the high winds we had over the weekend, we're checking all the overhangs. We've got 4 big trees down, and we're trying to make it safe without doing as much damage to the existing overhang as possible.
Hundreds of trees in and around the park will need to be safety checked before the primates can be let out, and the public let in.
Obviously, we've got to look at each base of each tree, watch how it moves in the ground, watch the ground movement around it, check there's no water damage around the tree as well, funny enough. I mean, most of these trees don't have deep roots, they're all shallow roots, so they're to a tall point where the wind catches it and they all go. And of course, we tie all the trees together to let the animals move around, so one way or another, it helps us.
While the storm raged, the park's primates were kept safely indoors. But that's a challenge in itself.
Keeping them locked inside is very hard on all of the monkeys and apes, but also on the keepers, because then they're motivated to try and come up with activities to keep them busy and engaged so that they don't start turning on each other and picking fights or throwing their weight around. So it is tough. Each and every group of primates here in the park has to be kept busy and occupied to keep them healthy and happy while they're locked indoors. But this is part of our obligation to them, and our keepers are superb at it.
With that in mind, Jarno is preparing a healthy treat for the orangutans. He's mixing up a warming drink made of honey, lemon and ginger. It's a winning concoction.
This is good for their to prevent them from cold and flu, good for their digestion and congestion, and good for their immune system. And on top of that, this drink tastes great. It's amazing.
One of the recipients needs it more than most.
Well, Tuan is going all, so every time when cold weather, his breathing is always heavy. So we manage to keep it sort of steady, but we're never able to get rid of it, of course, because the weather sometimes is mild and then sometimes is worse. So giving him everyday's medicine like that is managed to keep him just steady, but never sort of disappear, really.
Tuan's group aren't the only ones getting the healthy drink today.
Hi, guys!
The youngsters at the orangutan nursery are bundles of energy. Keeping them indoors means giving them lots of attention.
Make your breath smell nice as well, guys.
Everyone is keeping a close eye on the forecast, hoping the weather will calm down and allow the maintenance team to get their work done, and the primate residents the opportunity to venture out again. The fallen branches and logs won't go to waste. They'll be used to create natural habitats for climbing and foraging, something all the monkeys and apes enjoy. Staff at the domestic marmoset house are among those having to adapt their routine this morning. The storm caused extensive damage to one of their outdoor enclosures. A large tree branch landed right on top of the structure, which is used as outdoor space for marmoset Ruby and her family.
The enclosure isn't in use anymore and will need a lot of extensive work done to it before it's safe for the primates to be released back out of. So sadly, Ruby's group has to be shut in for now. They're a big group, there's 6 of them, it's our largest marmoset group. And there can be a little bit of tension in the group. That's why we try to give them the biggest enclosure, just to make sure the space helps to dissipate the tension. As we don't have the outside at the minute, we're now trying to rely on enrichment to try and keep them as busy as possible and make sure that nobody falls out while they're having to be shut in.
Keeping this family of 6 occupied until repairs are complete will be a real test. The family's indoor space is a lot smaller and the group has 4 lively youngsters. But Charlie has plenty of tricks up her sleeve. First up, clear tube feeders stuffed with wood shavings and topped off with one of the marmoset's favourite grubs, mealworms. She hangs them high up to test the marmoset's agility and determination.
The idea is that they'll kind of have to pull out the shavings at the bottom in order for the bugs to trickle down so they can feed from them. This group is very food oriented. They do love their mealworms, so hopefully they'll be really interested. The fact that they're also see-through also does help because a lot of the time monkeys can be quite lazy, and if they can't see what the prize is, they won't bother doing it, but hopefully they'll see the bugs and they'll figure out what they need to do to get hold of them.
As soon as the slide to the indoor playroom is opened, the troop bound in. This group's mum and dad couldn't be more opposite. Ruby is one of the largest marmosets ever to live at the park, while her partner Oscar is one of the smallest. The pair lived together for years without any babies, but then surprised the primate care staff with their first set of twins, Merry and Pippin. They managed to have another pair, Frodo and Bilbo, before the vets could perform a vasectomy on Oscar. Unlike the majority of the park's marmosets rescued from the pet trade, the 4 youngsters have had a stable upbringing in a close-knit family. But every so often, there's a bit of sibling rivalry.
Actually, more from the 2 youngest twins, Frodo and Bilbo, that really tend to try and pick on their older siblings. So we do find that they will have a bit of a scuffle over food, and they do pick on Merry and Pippin and kind of push them out the way, which is why we were a little bit concerned with the reduction in space for the group, if that would cause any more problems between the siblings. But so far so good, and Frodo and Bilbo have behaved themselves. So we'll just keep them really busy, and hopefully they won't pick on their big brother and sister too much.
The mealworms are proving a big hit and a workout. Dad Oscar, however, is far more interested in the marmoset gum Charlie's also put out. It's a really important part of their diet. In the wild, they gouge bark and eat sap exuded from trees. Today's wriggly feast is certainly keeping the family occupied. But until their outside enclosure can be repaired, the primate care team will be kept busy, making sure this family are even busier. Amongst the park's more recent arrivals are Pus Monkeys, Mr. Pus and Penelope. They were rehomed from a zoo in North Wales 6 months ago, and they're now living at the Stumpie House with their own bedroom and separate outdoor enclosure. Today, with autumn in full swing, the staff are making full use of copious amounts of leaf fall gathered from around the park to give them a treat. It should create an interesting and fun enrichment.
All the primates love having leaves in there because, as well as giving them something different, different textures, different smells, there's also bugs and things in there, and bits and nuts and things, lots for them to forage for. So we actually like to either put them inside and give them a change from sort of straw and wood wool, or sometimes we'll just give them big leaf piles outside because it just encourages natural behaviours from them.
Toby is hiding a few extra tidbits in the leaf piles for the pair to find. A mixture of mealworms, waxworms and locusts, along with primate pellets, which form part of their daily diet.
Mr. Pus particularly is completely obsessed with food. He will do anything for food. And he does love foraging in sort of tubs. He loves boxes and things. So if there's food involved, he's definitely going to have a look. Penelope, although she's a bit more nervous around us, is actually the boss of the two of them. So again, if there's food around, she will be there and she'll be probably making sure that she gets priority over him.
The plan should keep the pair busy foraging for most of the day. The slide to the outdoor enclosure is opened and Mr. P is first out, with Penelope not far behind. Mr. P heads straight for the leaf piles now dominating his territory. He confidently forages through the leaves, finding lots of live bugs for breakfast. Penelope hangs back to make sure the leaf piles pose no danger. It doesn't take long before she's convinced and enthusiastically joining in the bug hunt. The staff recently noticed she tends to favour the right side of her mouth when eating. She may have a dental issue which needs examining, but it's not preventing her from getting stuck in today. Unlike many of the park's primates, in the wild, Pus monkeys spend most of their daylight hours on the ground, foraging for food across the savannas of Central Africa. They're the fastest primates on land, reaching speeds of up to 34 miles per hour, which helps them avoid most predators. They're omnivores, meaning their diet changes according to what's available, and includes plants, insects, and occasionally meat. Today's leaf piles have gone down well with the Pus pair.
Mr. Pus is in his element. He's going through it all, getting all the bugs and everything out. He'll be there for hours, I think, finding everything he can to eat. Penelope's a little bit more wary. That seems to be her approach anyway. She has gone down and had a look, and she's also told him off because, I say, she is the boss of the two of them. But I think he will be there for some time yet.
And the leaf pile is the treat that keeps on giving. It'll naturally attract more grubs and insects, ensuring a continuous supply of food to keep the pair busy foraging in the weeks ahead. Next door at the Stumpie House, there's been 2 months of infighting and friction, caused by the losses of elderly long-time leader Sam and females Charlie and Flo. The result has been chaos, with the 2 remaining males, Toto and Freddie, vying for the top spot. The pair were previously close, with politically aware Freddie looking out for inexperienced Toto. But now, the gloves are off.
They are throwing themselves around, bouncing, displaying, slamming things about. So this has meant that we've had to have a real think about how we set up the house and what we provide for them, because between them over the last couple of months, Freddie and Toto completely destroyed what climbing structure we had in the playroom. All the hosing was pulled loose. So what we've had to do was basically rip out all the playroom and redo the whole thing.
The team have added extra hosing and branching for the more agile, boisterous boys, and provided easier to access escape routes for the less mobile females like Kelly. The destruction of the previously well-established hierarchy has thrown everything up in the air. Not only have Toto and Freddie gone from bottom of the pile to the very top, but the girls' pecking order has been flipped on its head too. Sylvie has established herself as top female, relegating poor old Kelly to the bottom.
It's proved to be far more challenging than we anticipated. The fact that sort of 2 months on, we're still working on what the solution is, trying to get the boys to sort out their hierarchy and the girls to sort of reaffirm theirs.
With the jostling for position leading to scuffles, the team had to act. Not only have they revamped the playroom, they've also separated the two males, although they've made sure they always have the company of a female.
Noreen has always had a bit of a thing for Toto. Even when Sam was around, she'd try and sneak off and spend time with Toto, which generally made Toto nervous because she knew that then Sam would appear on the scene and everyone else. However, she sort of firmly nailed her colours to the Toto mast, which actually is a bit of a political mistake in the group, because what has turned out is happening is that Sylvie has gone right from the bottom to the top, because she was the one that spent the time with Freddie. She hangs out with Freddie, and now Freddie doesn't like to let Sylvie out of his sight. So now that she's dominant and can go wherever she wants, she's sort of certainly giving us and everyone else a bit of a runaround.
Today, Freddie is indoors foraging amongst the leaf piles provided by the primate care team. He's accompanied by Sylvie, which always makes him more relaxed. Meanwhile, Toto is outside with Noreen. It means peace reigns, but the plan is to get everyone back together as one harmonious group.
Unfortunately, like a lot of the primates here at the park, Toto's background means he doesn't understand how to behave, and then he reacts in a negative way, even though he doesn't mean to, and this impacts everyone else in the group. So it's going to be a slow process, it's going to take time. We're hoping that eventually we will get back to a stage where we can have all 5 of them together, foraging in the house together and moving in and out comfortably, and everyone's getting on.
Only time will tell which male will win out, clever Freddie or handsome but inept Toto. At the far end of the park, the gardening team have been busy. For the last 4 months, they've been growing their own pumpkins, and some are ready to pick. The lucky recipients today are the park's Gwon family. Primate care member Elle is placing the orange fruit around their enclosure and adding an extra element to grab their attention.
Because these guys are so active, it's really important that we keep on giving them fresh activities and new enrichment to have a go at. So something like this, which they've never seen before, will be interesting for them, but also interesting for us, just to gauge what they are going to interact with the most. We've kept all the seeds, we've kept all the guts, we've kept all the gory bits. We are going to sprinkle some mealworms in there just to give them a little bit of extra activity, so they've actually got to go in there and forage for them. But it's going to be so cool because they've not really had anything like this before.
The Gwon family of 4 are very active and love something new.
We haven't made it really easy. I'm just thinking this is going to be a good challenge for their little fingers. They absolutely love mealworms. They're a really good source of protein for these guys. And also because the mealworms are extra wriggly, it's going to be amazing when they go in all the gooey bits in here for them to get out.
Time to discover what the group will make of their fun-filled, fruity breakfast. Biff is first out, followed by Mum Nia and Sister Nala, with Dad Benny bringing up the rear. The bright orange pumpkins are hard to miss, and they're drawn straight to them. Biff is a confident youngster, but even she's a little wary of the large fruit at first. Dad Benny isn't sure what to make of them either. But it doesn't take long for Biff to overcome her reticence and start to fully examine the pumpkins. Straight away, she finds the seeds. Little sister Nala is by her side, watching and learning. Encouraged, she reaches for some seeds too, albeit at arm's length. The pair decide they like what's inside the pumpkins, and soon both sisters are attacking with gusto. Their parents seem happy to take a back seat, content to watch their highly active daughters get stuck in. They've had a safe and secure upbringing, unlike Mum and Dad, who were stolen from the wild in Benin and sold on the black market before being rescued and eventually ending up at Monkey World. They're now parents to 2 girls and very protective of their daughters. But they needn't worry too much. The 2 youngsters are already adept at dealing with the pumpkins, and now they've discovered the addition inside, mealworms. Plunging a hand in to try and grab the wriggly grubs does work, but crafty Biff has come up with a quicker method. Rolling the pumpkin makes the mealworms fall out onto the platform, ready to be picked up. And it's a lot more fun. The girls are full of energy and mischief. Once they've had their fill of seeds and grubs, it's time for a full-on play session in the trees. It might be heart-stopping to watch, but their skills could soon be challenged even further. Next time on Monkey Life. Worries for woolly monkey Oriana.
So it looks like it's got quite a big left atrium. That's usually suggestive that there is significant heart disease.
And top of the world, the Gwon family try out a new tree in their enclosure.